Hello, friends. Today we'll speak about the topic antigen. Myself, Febi Paiva, Assistant Professor, Department of Zoology, St. Joseph's College for Women, Alapura. What are antigens? Antigens are substances which can induce an immune response. In other words, I could say that these are molecules that induce the B cells to produce the antibody. That means those are antibody generator. They specifically recognize the B cells, T cells, or both. They can be bound or reacted by the antibodies and also by the T cell receptors. That means immunoglobulins or antibody can recognize a naive antigen, whereas a T cell surface receptor can recognize only a processed antigen by a phagocytic cells. Next, we have to see what is antigenic determinants or epitopes. An epitope is a part of the antigen itself, that part which is recognized by the immune system, specifically the B cells or the T cells or the antibodies. Each antigen will have many, or that means several antigenic determinants or epitopes. And that part of the antibody with which it binds with the antigen or the epitope, I can call that part as the antibody determinant or the paratope. So paratope is a part of the antibody with which it binds with the antigen, whereas epitope is a part of antigenic molecule which have the specificity and with which it is being recognized by the immune cells. And epitopes are of two types based on its structure, its interaction, how it interacts with the paratope. So those are conformational epitope and linear epitope. So we'll see first the conformational epitope. Conformational epitope is a protein or a sequence, amino acid sequence, or a part of the antigen where the amino acid sequences are discontinuous. And these amino acid sequences are brought near to each other because of the folding. That means it is the specificity of those and amino acid sequences which are present at two different parts, discontinuously being arranged in an antigenic molecule. And but then they are brought together or nearby or near to each other because of the folding. So here in this type of epitope, the binding with a paratope is because of its folding, or in fact, I could say a three-dimensional surface features or the shape or the tertiary structure. And I could say that most of the epitopes seen in an antigen are conformational type. Next is the linear determinants or linear epitopes. Here I can see that the amino acid sequence of the epitope is continuous. And so how they interact with the paratope is because of the primary structure. This picture shows a continuous amino acid sequence. The green one indicates the epitope region, epitope the sequence of amino acid, and here they are binding with the paratope region of the antibody because of the uh, linear sequence or the continuous amino acid sequence, whereas here the green ones are the specific antigenic determinant areas, and they are not continuous here, and but then these amino acids are brought near to each other because of the folding. And so this indicates the conformational epitope. So here, this is also the same picture. This is showing a linear type of epitope, and here it shows the discontinuous or the conformational type of epitope. Next, we can see that as we know, in an antigen, there may be more than multiple number of epitopes or determinants. They may be same or they may be different. If they are same, that means if all the determinants on a single antigen molecule is identical, I can call that it is having polyvalency or multivalency. Next topic we have to discuss is the characteristics of antigen. Antigen should be a large molecule with a large molecular size. That means They can be a protein, they can be a macromolecule like carbohydrate, a lipid, or in fact a nucleic acid. So high molecular weight materials are a better antigen than a low molecular weight. So in fact, we could summarize as that those substances which have molecular weight less than 5,000 Daltons are not likely a good antigen, whereas those having the weight between 5,000 and 10,000 can have some properties of antigen, but then they are a very bad immunogen. That means they cannot generate an antibody. We'll see later on that property. And third category, I can say that those molecules which have a molecular weight more than 10,000 will be a very good antigen, which may be having the immunogenic property. And the next character, I could say that all the antigens are large molecules and they may be having multiple determinants. Whether it is same or different, it matters. Next, very important prerequisite for a molecule to be called as an immunogen or an antigen is that it should be genetically foreign to the host. That means the more the foreign a substance is, more likely to be a powerful antigen it will be. For example, if we speak about the egg albumin, if egg albumin is an antigen, it can induce immunogenicity in a rabbit, but then it fails to introduce this immune reaction in fowl because that genetically belongs to a fowl. But then it is very far, it is a foreign thing to a rabbit. But then this theory goes somewhere wrong in case of diseases like autoimmune diseases, where sometimes the body constituents are recognized foreign. Next thing we have to see is about the complete antigen. A complete antigen can be defined as any antigen, of course, capable of stimulating the formation of antibody and later on reacting with it. That means a complete antigen should satisfy two properties, that is immunogenicity and reactivity. Immunogenicity means its ability to stimulate and proliferate the formation of antibody. Whereas reactivity simply speaks about the ability to react with the produced antibody or to react specifically with the antibodies produced uh, as a response of the entry of this antigen. Haptens. When there is a complete antigen, there should be something known as incomplete antigens or haptens. So what are haptens? Haptens, I could say that these are small molecules, whereas a complete antigen was a macromolecule with a large molecular weight. This is a small molecule, which can be a peptide, which can be a nucleotide, or in some case, sometimes it can be a small hormone. But then the problem is that they will not have the two properties which is required to satisfy to become a complete antigen. That means the property lacking is immunogenicity. That means a molecule will not have the property of immunogenicity, but very well they will be having the property of reactivity. That means if an antibody is already there, they can react. That is okay. But then these haptens cannot induce the immune reaction, cannot induce the formation of antibodies. The best example is about the poison oak or related type of releases of the plants. We can see that this poison oak, when it enters the skin, at that it is having a low molecular weight and it is a hapten. When it enters in the body, it binds with a large molecular weight protein, a carrier protein. And when they bind with a carrier protein, it attains the heavy molecular, it becomes heavy. It have higher molecular weight. At that time, at that time, it can induce the production of antibodies. And it may lead to the itchiness or red rashes in the body. So we can see that to make a hapten converter into a complete antigen, it should attain the molecular weight, high molecular weight. For that, The hapten should bind with a carrier protein or a large macromolecule. When it binds with a macromolecule or a carrier protein in the body, they attain that, uh, that requirement and they become immunogenic in nature. So that's all. Thank you.